the fundamental difference between the sacred groves on one hand vis-a-vis the national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, the one fundamental difference is it is managed by the local community. Good. That's the right answer, Prachi. Any other thing that you feel is fundamentally different between a sacred grove and all the schemes that we have discussed as part of in situ conservation? Other than the fact that it is managed by local community, any other difference that you can think of? Very good. Not established by law. So if you look at protected areas, biosphere reserves, national park, wildlife sanctuary, all of them have the power of law, the force of law behind it. Sacred grove is more cultural, more historical. So I want you to remember two things. Yeah, will you be able to remember? The first point I want you to remember is that because this is also in situ, there were three in situ, no? Habitat protection, species oriented, and sacred grove. But sacred grove is different from the other two. Why? First, it is local, that is managed by the local people. And the second, it does not have the force of law. Force of law. There is an exception to it. I'm coming to it. It is mentioned in the same slide. But for now, you remember it like this: local people and the force of law. So that's on the sacred grove. Now, what are the things that are usually done and usually not done? Yeah. So generally, the forest-dwelling communities they indulge in using the forest for their day-to-day needs. For example, honey collection, deadwood collection, small timber.
அப்பதான் எங்க புரட்சியும் வரும் என்று ஒரு காந்திசத்தை போல அது அழிந்த பின்னால் தான் அந்த புரட்சி.
Yeah, I think you can keep it on mute. Someone would have mistakenly. Yeah, thank you guys. So, where were we? Yeah, so what is allowed and what is not allowed? So what is allowed is this: as long as you don't hurt the forest or its biodiversity, that is allowed. 1 second. Yeah, that is allowed. What is not allowed is hunting is strictly not allowed. Cutting of trees for the purpose of timber roots, that is strictly not allowed. So these are things that are not allowed. Now, here comes an important point. Till 2002, there was no force of law for sacred groves. As Prachi rightly said, that the other ones were established by law. But in the Wildlife Protection Act, when it got amended in 2002, they added a category called as community reserves, which we discussed in the last or the previous class. Now, sacred groves, legally speaking, logically speaking, technically speaking, can be included under community reserve. Therefore, the context for you to understand is normally sacred groves have been outside the purview of law. They do not have the legal force of protection. But the Wildlife Protection Act of 2002 enabled the concept of community reserves and sacred groves, because sacred groves is what? It is protected by the community. Okay, so this is one thing I want you to remember. What are all the uses of the forest? I think this we all know. We have discussed last time also. Why is biodiversity necessary? Preventing desertification, recharging aquifers, genetic diversity, soil erosion, etc. Okay. Now, can someone tell me, let's say, the approximate number of sacred groves in India? Like 50, 100, approximate. So as always, I want an order of magnitude, somewhere between this to this. There is no official number, by the way. You can get it from Wikipedia, and from every state you go, you can get it. You get a rough idea. I want you to just understand around 80, okay? Any other number? Okay. So first thing is it less than 100 or more than 100? How many of you for more than 100? Prachi is more than 10K, okay? So clearly she is one who thinks it is more than 100. Anyone who feels less than 1000? More than 1000? Okay. So the unofficial means when I say unofficial, the estimated value. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not 1 lakh, it's between 5K to 10K. This is the amount of sacred groves that is estimated to be all over India, which means it's a fairly big number, huge number. In that, some sacred groves are very small, some sacred groves are very large. And sacred groves, the largest sacred grove in India is in Himachal Pradesh, in a place called Haryali Devi in Chamoli district. That's the largest sacred grove in India. Yeah, I think somewhat it merges with the wildlife sanctuary, etc. But the largest sacred grove is in not Himachal. I'm sorry, I stand corrected. Uttarakhand, Chamoli Devi district in Uttarakhand. That's the largest one. The one of the most important sacred groves in the northeastern part of India is called the Mauflang, the East Khasi Hills. You must have heard of these hills in Meghalaya, no? Karo, Khasi, and Jaintia. Yeah, this is how it goes, no? From west to east in the state of Meghalaya. Yeah, so it is East Khasi, so east of Khasi, so between Khasi and Jaintia Hills. So this is one such beautiful place, and there are a lot of other. This is a very high level representation. So there can be multiple. For example, Kerala alone has something like 2,000 sacred groves. Kerala alone, imagine. Yeah, so that's how it is. In Karnataka, you have two places, Kathalekan and Kodagu. Kodagu is also known as Coorg in English. In Kerala, you have a special type of sacred groves with snakes as the theme, and hence the name Sarpakavu. It's along the coast of Kerala. Okay, so these are some of the sacred groves in India which were in news, not now, but 1 or 2 years back. But I thought still the concept is relevant. So that's on the sacred groves. Yeah, one thing I forgot to tell you. So there is one sacred grove which is completely water based. This is in Sikkim. So we saw that there it can be forest, it can be lake, it can be mountain, it can be hill, and all of that. So the Ketchiopalri Lake in Sikkim, apparently it's a very good tourist location also. Generally, too many tourists are not really welcome near the sacred groves because we leave behind the trail that we have come to that place. It happens. Other than food wrappers and so many other things are left behind. Some people try to engrave, their love as if it is what we call in the Amar. Yeah, and in the process, you hurt the trees. All those things happen. So as a practice, tourism does not really go very well with sacred groves.